Perfect. Could you say your name and then what group you sang with?
I'm George Galfo, original member of the Mystics.
Perfect. So, before you got into singing with the Mystics, in your house with your parents, did they listen to any type of music like that kind of got you into singing at all?
The 40s, Perry Como, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, that was their stuff. And I got to like that music too, actually. But we weren't singing that stuff. We got into, because we were listening to rhythm and blues. Alan Freed had the Moondoggie show way back in the 50s. And it was mostly black groups, and we really dug the music. Rhythm and blues, it got into us. And we started to mimic some of the songs, especially Flamingos. And I got friendly with the Flamingos, very friendly with them. I know them today, and I still keep in touch with them. And that's how we got started with that stuff. I was singing before the Mystics with my brother's group, and they were older than I was. I was 3 years younger than them. And that's why I learned how to do harmony. And I started to like it. And then when the Overruns came around, and they were shy, a couple of people that left, my two uncles were in the group, Phil and Albie Crackalisi, and they asked me if I would do the second tenor part. And I said, sure. But we were the Overruns then. And don't ask me what it means, because I don't know what it means.
Cool. So you, I guess with that group, the Overruns, what would you guys do with that group? Did you guys do like just local shows? Or?
Well, yeah, there were some local shows, contests they went into, and that's when before I joined them, and they won the contest. And one guy got cold feet, he got nervous, he couldn't, stage fright, and that's the guy that left that I had to replace. And we did a lot of corner stuff, wherever we can sing and get an echo and hear ourselves. It was just fun. Yeah. We never thought we were going to be recording. Everybody has high hopes for that, because there were so many groups out at the time, and they were all pretty good. It's where you are at the right time, the right place, that makes it happen. Mm-hmm. But we were, we stuck to it and persistent, and went to New York to try and have people hear us, and they said, well, you have to have a demo. You can't come up, you can't make an appointment, you just can't walk in the record companies and say, I want to sing. So they said, demo. I said, well, what's a demo? We didn't know what a demo was. And that was 1958. So we did make a demo. And if you want more questions on that, well, you're going to come, and then I'll answer them now.
Well, yeah, so I guess from what I've heard and read, that you guys got that idea for the demo from the Neons, right?
The Neons?
Yeah.
No.
The guys that did, why am I blanking on the song? Babyface?
Well, that was a song that we heard, but
yeah.
A lot of groups influenced us, The ones that were out, that between the Crest and the Skyline, the Flamingos, the Fireflies, there's so many groups that were out. And we liked their songs, so we mimicked them, No, there was no music. It was just a snap of the fingers. That was the most music we had. So everything was a cappella. And you heard more of what was going on. And it got very enjoyable. So we loved doing it. And got crowds coming around and everything. So after we did make a demo, we brought it up to we found out about Jim Gribble, a manager that was managing some groups, Fiestas at the time. And he heard it, he said, wow, you guys are pretty good, He said, wait here, I want to call somebody. So he gets on the phone, and Laurie Recordings was up a couple of flights up in the same building. And he said, I got a group here for you that you should listen to. And we're just sitting there wondering who he's asking and who he's talking to. It was Gene Schwartz, the owner of Glory Recording Records. They said, all right, come on up. So we did. We sang for them. They loved us. They liked our looks, you know. And we're all the same height and everything, same build, and the sound was good. And they signed us up. And that was just so lucky to have that happen so quickly at the time. Very fortunate.
You think that demo is the thing that really helped
Yes.
you guys?
Yeah. Well, sure. Without that, they didn't hear us first, but when they heard us in person, we did the same thing. All kinds of that they do in the studios today. They improvise on so many things. They heard what they heard is what they got, and they liked it. They said, so we have some good writers, and with Doc Palmer and Mort Schumann, who wrote a lot of songs. But before we recorded, they had so many people in their stable. They wanted us to back their singles up, and we did a lot of that. And we got some studio, and the way things are done in the studio, we start to learn a lot. And we did appreciate the time that they were putting into us. And then when the writers came up and said, we got a song for you. It's a good song. I said, well, okay. So they brought it over to the piano and started playing it, and we started singing it, and we started rehearsing it, and we loved it. We really loved it. And when they heard us sing it, and after a couple of days when we rehearsed it, they said, this thing is going to be a hit. And we felt that, whoa, if they think that, we sure think it's going to be a hit too. It was a terrific song. And we already recorded one song for them prior to the hit song. It was Adam and Eve. And that was on the 45. You know, I want to hold them. There's two sides. So they needed another side to put out. And when we heard that song, we knew that was it. That was going to be the A side. It was Teenager in Love. So they figured, we were newcomers. Nobody knew us yet. And we're in the bottom of the totem pole in the company. So, and the Dion and the Belmonts, they already had 2 hits on the charts. So they're thinking monetarily, and they didn't know how to tell us. They felt bad. They asked us this. They actually asked us if we didn't mind giving the song up. So we looked at each other. After we learned it and enjoyed singing it, we said, well, what could we say? Well, of course, we understand. And God bless them. They did a great hit with it. Dion and the Belmonts, they were good. And we got friendly with them too. And a few days later, they said, we got another song for you, which was Hushabye, very fortunately. And we said we heard it, we liked it. We said, don't tell Dion. So we managed to get that one. And, being that it was a lullaby, it caught on right away to a lot of people. No matter where we go today, we've been to Europe, and they hardly speak English, the broken English, but they know the song word by word perfectly. They didn't have no accent, and we were amazed with that. It was a culture shock for us when we went there, and they really appreciated us and the songs we were singing. And it just that no matter where we go, Joni, my wife and manager, she says, the Mystics, Hushabye, and they start singing the words. So we were amazed how it took off. Still today, and I still enjoy singing it.
It's a great song.
Yeah, we get a lot of people call us on it, and and then we get a lot of requests for the other songs we did do. But it's fun. Yeah. It was a fun time, good music, clean music. And everybody seemed to enjoy that. Yeah. And we met a lot of great people in the field of music. A lot of nice people. Everybody was friendly. No matter how big you got, it was a comfortable thing.
So I guess to quickly backtrack, before the Hushabye, you mentioned Teenager in Love. How much, like, how different was your version versus the Belmonts? Like when you guys rehearsed that song?
It was the same version.
Yeah.
They took the same version we had. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was amazing, but they didn't have to do much to it. Just sing it the way it was, and it was a great tune. And I still enjoy it. I sing that on stage because it brings back memories of what we went through, and it's part of our history, you know. We had a great history of things. We had some good times, and some bad times, but everything was good.
And I guess quickly going either to the demo session you made with the Overons or Adam and Eve, how was that experience walking into that recording studio for the first time?
It was very scary being in the studio. We didn't know anything about a studio. We knew how to sing the song, so that wasn't the problem. It was just the way they mixed it and made it work. But then, you know, there's one mic for the lead and one mic for the group, and they all stand around it and try and make it equalize and get the right, you know, it's a little difficult at the time. Today with separate tracks, no matter what you do, they equalize it and get it done. It's amazing. Technology really grew. We grew with it, but at the time, it was amazing to even get in the studio and doing it. And it sounded good when we heard it back on these big speakers. And said, wow, it's amazing. We used to hear things on little radios, you know, the car radio. This really was an experience for us.
So you said that with a Teenager in Love, you guys knew that was going to be a hit.
Yeah.
And, but when they introduced Hushabye, did you guys also think that was going to be a hit?
Well, we felt the same way about it. The way we organized it and got the thing going, it was a catchy thing. You know, I still like Teenager in Love, you know? But since we gave that one up and it became a hit, it was meant to be. I guess the way it turned out that they came back with Hushabye.
Mm-hmm. So after you guys make that record, how soon after you recorded it did you guys start hearing it on the radio?
Oh, it didn't come out right away. They tried to push it naturally to some DJs, and we were unknown. And finally, the DJs started to pick it up and playing it. It was a couple months later before we heard it on the radio. And I think I almost crashed my car when I was in it at the time when I heard it. And we all called each other and said, "Did you hear that? We're on the radio." It was such a feeling. And such young kids at the time were wacky.
Yeah. How was that experience watching it just start climbing the charts?
We watched it all the time. And before it really started climbing, we started doing shows. They were booking shows for sock hops. And we went on a tour out west. And it was still climbing. And that's when we got a telegraph. At the time it was telegraphs. From Dick Clark, that he wanted to put us on the show. And we were out somewhere in the Midwest doing the shows. You know, every night we were a different state doing shows. Driving on with the bus, that's another experience. So we had to make arrangements to get to an airport, a local airport, and fly us to it was Philadelphia at the time. And we got there late at night, so he taped the show late at night. Okay, and then we had to fly back and get the tour. So the next night after the show, we were in the restaurant eating dinner, and the guy had the TV on, and there we are. What? And we're watching ourselves on TV. That was the first time we ever seen ourselves on TV. And people were looking at us and saying, "How could you be here and you're over there?" I said, "Beats me how they did it." So that was a funny thing. Yeah, that was really funny. And boy, that was amazing to us.
And you mentioned you were on a tour. Do you remember who you were with on that tour?
Oh, Freddie Cannon, the Chapel. You know, trying to remember names. I'm getting old, you know. But the big hits. There were so many acts on the bus. The Baby Dolls. You mentioned the guy's name before, Crying in the Chapel. It's
The Dixie Cut?
no, what? No, they were later on. Oh my God. You know, after a while I remember the names, but we had so much fun with Freddie Cannon on the tour. He was nuts. He was really nuts. And at every show he did certain things. He used to sit in the audience, sneak in the audience and watch us sing and do things. And he made us laugh. And the people wonder what we're laughing at, you know. And he made us hysterical all the time. But we had so much fun on tour. Let me think who else was on the tour. Well, it'll come to me.
Yeah.
But
so how was that, like, when people think of the touring on the bus, they think about that as a drag?
that was another culture shock at the time because there was a couple of black groups on the tour too, which we got friendly with. And when we got out west, we say, well, where's the guys? We had went to restaurants, well, they're not allowed to come. I said, what do you mean not allowed to come? We're from New York. We didn't think anything about that like that. They had to go to separate hotels, and that to us was funny and a little aggravating, you know. But it was a culture shock. And if we felt bad, but we had Johnny and the Hurricanes on there, and they were absolutely crazy. Every time we went to the hotel, we were surprised we didn't get kicked out of the hotels. They were wrecking the hotels. And that's why they didn't want groups coming to the tours to go stop in these hotels. Guys were nuts, but they were having a good time. Everybody felt loose, and a great experience to be out there. You know, we followed the tour where we lost a lot of good people on that plane crash, okay, the Bapa and everybody else. We followed actually their tour that they didn't finish, and we went to some of their places, and we had some big crowds, really big crowds. And you had to stand away from them because they're trying to take your hair, cut your hair off, take your shoelaces off. Yeah, on stage they'll grab you. And, we had to have people there to let us in, and they had to make a path to get to the stage on some of these places that we sang. And we said, whoa, this is crazy. You know, we never thought, you know what happened when the Beatles came here, and the same things, we've seen that later on in years, and we went through that, you know. So it brought back memories on that part, but funny, it was really funny.
Yeah, I guess, going from just singing on the street corner to having girls try to take your jacket.
Totally different. On the street corner, they didn't know us. We had crowds listening to us, but they didn't know us, and then when they did, it was different. Now they had to pay to see us. That was the difference.
Yeah. And I guess to quickly backtrack, you guys had a couple studio shots with photos, right? And was that taken before Hushabye or after Hushabye?
Well, they took some shots before, see how they come out. We had a shot done in the studio that we did. They didn't care for. It looked too gangsterish. So they wanted to give us a little warmer appeal on a picture. And we had some good shots that they took of us. And one of the originals that you showed me was one that we did with them. And then we did some shots because after a while they wanted us to do an album. We were in Central Park, taking all kinds of photos and shots for us with some experienced photographers. And I don't know what happened to the pictures, but that was another spot in our life that things were totally going differently than what we thought. You know, and we were just getting into our careers before Hushabye. We were all getting into our jobs because we were all out of school at the time, naturally. I was in American Express, and then when the record started to hit the charts, and our manager says, you know, you guys, we got a tour coming up, you're going to have to quit your jobs. We said, you're kidding. And we had to leave our positions where we were working at, and that changed our whole life. You know, a whole different experience than what we were going through. But if it didn't happen and we stayed where we were, who knows what it would have happened. I would have had a lot of shares in American Express today, I'll tell you one thing.
That's so cool.
Yeah. You know, at the time making money for them, we didn't think about money. We were just humble and glad to be there. And the companies took a lot of advantage of all these groups, you know.
Yeah.
There was a lot of payroll at the time, we found out. But everything they did for us, studio time, dressing us up, clothing and pictures, we paid for everything. Took everything out of our all the records that we're selling, you know. But hey, it happened, and today is different. You sing a song overnight, you become a millionaire.
Exactly.
Totally different.
It's interesting because, you know, you mentioned, they would nickel and dime you on everything.
Right.
But it's like, oh, at the end of the day, you would owe them money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but no, we did well with the recording, thank God, but it paid for everything. But we didn't get out of what we should have got out of it.
Exactly.
And we knew it hit over 1 million records, but they didn't admit that. They said, oh, it was 800-something thousand. Well, whatever.
Yeah. So you mentioned you guys did American Bandstand with Dick Clark. How was, after that show, how was like the neighborhood after that, after you guys came back from tour?
Different.
Yeah.
You know, people started to recognize, you know, especially our families and close friends. Our families thought, well, you guys are nuts. What are you singing that stuff for? You know, because they're listening to Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra. And when they seen us on Dick Clark and how things we were doing, then they changed their tune. They were proud of us and happy it was happening for us because that was our dream, you know.
Yeah.
And people start treating you a little differently. Then people start hanging around outside the house, the girls and stuff. They know where you live. Yeah, we used to rehearse down in our basement in Brooklyn, and the girls used to come up the driveway, look in the windows, and it was fun.
Yeah, I bet that's cool. I guess, what your parents' reaction when they first heard Hushabye on the radio?
Oh, they had a good reaction. They never thought it would happen. They thought the music was crazy. But, you know, what we sang wasn't wild. It was good, clean music. There was a lot of different styles of music at the time. But it was all good, you know. And they finally came around to thinking, hey, these guys they're going to make it.
So, as I said, you mentioned the Dick Clark show. Did you guys do any other TV appearances?
Oh, yeah. Alan Freed show we were on all the time. Alan Freed really loved us. He liked us. He liked the song. He was closing his radio show with our song almost every day. We were on his show a few times, and that's where I met so many other groups that were coming on at the time. And that was you know, amazing too. The way we're filming it and setting up stages and props and the way they had the kids come on and dance and stuff. It was amazing. Because we used to watch that before we even became, you know, with Dick Clark, we used to watch the kids dancing and stuff. And there we were. Finally, one day we were on it.
I bet that was such a
We did we did shows in up north too, with Clay Cole. And Clay Cole, we did a lot of shows. But in Providence, he performed. He got together a big show on the outside. They built a stage for us and everything. Connie Francis was there, the Four Lads, the guys that See You in September group. I mean, there were so many groups on that show too. And they expected a few thousand people in the streets. Turned out to be 50,000 people in the streets. No matter where you looked, from side to side, it was just bodies, heads all the way. And it had to be scary because they were so close around the stage, and it was like waves, and the stage started to move, and it was a built-up stage that they put out in the street. So we did a few songs on there, and then before Connie Francis came on, they got a little wild, and they said, well, we're going to have to finish it upstairs in the studio, and that's where they finished the rest of the show. But that was a big show. I mean, it was amazing, so many people in Providence, Rhode Island. And Clay Cole, we did a lot of shows on Palisades Park with him, and Cousin Brucey. And we went on radio shows late at night, Murray Kaufman at the time. And we used to go up there and used to sing a cappella at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. We used to have so much fun with them. And they got to like us. And it was a whole new experience for us. We were on cloud 9,
I bet.
floating around.
Yeah. I bet that was such a cool experience.
Yeah, right.
And I guess on the radio too, you guys, I guess you guys were interviewed on the radio.
Yeah.
Groups, and
Yeah.
that'd be so cool to hear. 2 in the morning, you guys sing a cappella.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then when we went to the studio to do a backup on Connie Francis, if she wanted us to do a backup on one of her songs, Tommy, and that was late at night too, and with a lot live bands. You know, at the time you go in there with just live bands, and there's so many musicians, great musicians that they're still around. And they were big stars after that. We learned a lot. Even the guys that played for us during Hushabye and those songs, the guitarist, the pianist, and they became big stars. And they did a lot of recording for a lot of people. But, you know, to go in there and have 15, 20 pieces of musicians playing and you're trying to sing. Today, you go in, the track's already done. And you just hear the vocals. Yeah. So every time you made a mistake, you had to take another cut. And the music, the same thing with the band. If they made a mistake, another cut. So you're there for hours. A totally different experience with that. And that, I'll tell you, that's what made me quit smoking.
Yeah.
Singing over and over and over, cut after cut after cut. I looked at the cigarettes and I said, I can't take this one. I threw them away, and I was 21 at the time. Never smoked again.
Wow.
Thank God I did that, yeah.
Yeah, that's so. And I guess, how long, do you remember the longest you were in the studio?
Oh, 5 hours sometimes, 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah. Over and over and over, yeah.
And we were paying for all that time. But, you know, I was amazed, people that play an instrument. I was always enjoyed instrumental stuff and how they can make it sing and work like that. It's to me, I watch people, even my own band today, I watch them how they play, and I'm a frustrated musician. I got keyboards, I got a guitar. I don't know how to play any one of them. I mean, I could play chords, you know. But what they can do, it's just amazing to me, and I get frustrated. But I love it.
It's miraculous what they can just kind of pull out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But you mentioned you used to perform for Alan Freed a lot. How was he as a person?
Nice guy. He was really a nice guy. And he liked us, so he treated us well. And, you know, but you do the show, you finish, and you go home.
Yeah.
But to have us back all the time was a nice thing, you know. And today, when we go back and do multiple act shows, it's a problem traveling with the airlines today. It's a nuisance, actually. Because just to go on stage, and if there's 7 or 8 acts, you only have 15, 20 minutes on stage. So you got one whole day traveling there. Next day, you go to sound check, you do your show, 15, 20 minutes. The next whole day coming back. 3 days to do one show. So it takes a lot out of your life. Today, it's stressful. When we were younger, we didn't care. You know, but to me, you know, Jay Siegel again and all the guys that we sing with today, it's nice, you know, get together again and reminisce.
Just have some fun.
Well, today we talk about medications. Then we talked about girls. Who's rubbing with what? Oh, it's funny. Yeah. The conversation's changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you guys ever do the Brooklyn Paramount with Alan Freed?
No, but we did the Brooklyn Fox. Okay. But we would have probably done that because that was in 60, 61, 62. They were still doing shows, and we had a little setback after that for a while. There's a book out about the Mystics. I don't know if you know about it. Al Contrario wrote it. Took him 10 years to put it together because he kept picking our brains of the experiences and what we did and the times we did it. And he finally put it together. The Hushabye, the music, the Mystics, and the mob. And it's just quite a lot of people bought it. In fact, on some of the shows I was advertising it, and people ask us where they can get it, and it's still doing pretty well.
It's a good book.
Yeah, well, it tells about everything, our experiences we had, a lot of experiences, and who sang with us in the studios at times. Well, we had Jay Traynor, the original Jay Traynor, Trey of the Americans, and there was a little incident with our manager and him. I had let him go. He was great. Jay was great. He would have still been with us today if things didn't happen. Unfortunately, he did pass away. But he was good, and we did three cuts with Jay. And then there was Paul Simon, because he was filling in for Phil at the time, who wasn't with us temporarily. And Paul Simon was a little younger than us. He was 17 years old. We used to tease the hell out of him. We had so much fun with Paul. So he did 3 cuts with us too. And then there was Eddie Schatz, another guy, Eddie, who did 2 songs with us. Goodbye, Mr. Blues. It was one of the fastest tunes we ever recorded, and it was fun doing it. I still do that today, and we have fun doing that. But the experience we had with the history and the people, it's amazing.
So you mentioned that Phil was temporarily gone for a while. What was the reason why he exited the group?
It's a personal thing.
Yeah.
Wrong time, wrong place, got in trouble. And there's nothing we could have done about it, but it did hurt us. It set us back with the DJs. They heard what was happening, and they cooled off with us for a while. But then through the years, people forget things, and after that we started doing a lot of shows in the 70s in New York, 60s, a lot of shows. And then I moved out to Florida, and the other guy, Bob Ferranti, moved to Arizona. So there was just Allie and Philly, and Albie left, and they had a couple of people fill our places. One is Johnny T, who sang with them for years, and they did a lot of shows at the time. It kept the music alive, kept the name alive. And then when Phil moved down to Naples in 1980, 89, something like that, we got together again, started singing, and did some shows. And then in 2002, Phil went his way, and I went my way, because I wanted to do other things. And he said, we did it, I've done it, I don't want to do it. And I said, well, I do want to do it. I want to carry on with this thing and make it to the next step. We had to go to the next step to get things going. And I did, and he didn't. So I kept the name alive, and I got very busy, did a lot of shows. And I've been keeping this ever since. And I still got shows coming up, and I'm looking forward to them. But things are slowing down because of our fans. Some of them was old. A lot of them come in with the walkers and everything, but they're glad to be there. And I'm glad to see them, and to see the smiles on their faces when we sing the songs that they remember. They get like kids,
Brings back good memories.
Oh, yeah. Especially if the husband and wives are still there. They hold each other's hands like they're 16 years old. And they're singing the words. They know all the words. And that's what makes it enjoyable to me. Bringing back memories to people in our era, And the young ones that come today, there's some of them are young that come and like the music because their parents play it or their grandparents play it. And we get that, fortunately, and it's good. Then they come and ask us questions.
Yeah.
How'd you get started? How'd you start singing? How did you know harmony? All these different questions. Actually, we were never taught harmony. We just fit in the positions we were told to sing in, and we did well with it. Albie was a natural baritone. I'm a natural second tenor. Bobby was natural first tenor. Billy was the singer at the time, the lead singer. And at those years, at that time, you had one lead singer did all the songs. Today, every one of us sing lead on stage. And it shows diversity and on different styles and stuff. And we bring out, we sing a lot of cover songs, all the hit songs, and they remember them.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, the time when we were mimicking, when we first started, with the Crest and the Skyliners and all those other guys, and then to be on stage with them for 10 days in the Brooklyn Fox, you know, that was another experience. Well, wow. And let me tell you, there was the lineup in the shows that we had to do. We had to follow the Isley Brothers, and they came out and did Shout. Okay, they broke up the audience. They were dancing all over the place, running up and down the aisles, cheering, and then we're backstage saying, "How the heck are we going to follow that?" You know, we were shaking in our boots. But thank God, because Hushabye was such a big hit, as soon as we came out, they applauded and they accepted the song. But it was such a different, you know.
Shout versus.
Oh,
yeah.
Goodness gracious. We were, you know, that's an experience we'll never forget. That's why the vodka was handy.
Yeah. How was that experience backstage with all those?
It was fun. I mean, in fact, we did a lot of singing backstage with everybody, you know. Everybody's warming up and this and that. Everybody's swinging and singing his songs and chiming in with you. It was great. It was just so new to us, and especially in 1959 when we first got started. But you learn a lot, you see a lot, you meet a lot of people, and you get to really love the music more and more. I still love it today, but we're not recording anymore today because nobody buys our stuff today. The people, they listen to a lot of the stuff on the website. A lot of these DJs come on, they play the songs. The people listen to them. They ask for the songs. They ask for Hushabye a lot. Don't Take the Stars and White Cliffs of Dover and Hushabye naturally. But they don't come to the shows because they're too old to come to the shows, and that's hurting the promoters. You can't fill the seats. You can't pay the artists. So it hurts and it trickles down to everybody. But hey, it's the time, and it'll be everything goes in a cycle, you know. In Europe, the young groups are coming back doing a cappella, and they send me stuff of their stuff. They want to know what I think of it, and they're great. They're really great to see these groups come back. It's like when we started out, and look, that's if we gave them that feeling to do that with our stuff, it's a great thing.
Music will never die.
No, thank God for that. Keeps you young.
Yes, like that. And another quick thing I wanted to mention was you guys got friendly with the Vidells.
Oh yeah, yes, the Vidells, and they came to our show and introduced themselves to us. Okay, and they just loved our harmony. They were in awe with what we did, and they said, well, you know, we got real friendly with them, and they wrote a couple of songs that they wanted us to do. They brought it up to Laurie Records, and that was our style of stuff. We would have loved to have done that stuff. And Laurie, they didn't go for it. They were into bells and whistles and stuff that we didn't care for, but we sang what they wanted us to do, naturally. We went to the rhythm and blues stuff and really good doo-wop stuff. But the songs we did record were okay, you know. And they tried to make a deal with Vinny and Pete, who were the leaders of the Vidells, and change some of them, and they didn't like what they were trying to do. So they said no, and they didn't. So we never got the songs. They went and recorded themselves, and they made hits. And we loved the stuff that they did. And we were friendly all the years anyway. Yeah. And after their group split up, there was Vinny and Pete were naturally over left, and we sort of merged at the time when Philly wasn't available. And we were doing shows as the Vidells and the Mystics. And Clay Cole said, "You guys are nuts." He said he had us on one week as the Mystics. The next week in Palisades Park, we came on as the Vidells, same suits. And That was funny. Yeah. Till this day, well, we were friendly all the years with Clay until he passed away. But he always mentioned that, you know. And we taught him how to do street stuff, you know. He appreciated us. But he was very talented, Clay. He did a lot on his own. He produced a lot of stuff.
That's pretty cool. You guys just became the Vidells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we sang the Vidal stuff. And that was, it was hits on both sides, you know.
Yeah.
And it was good shows.
So I guess you mentioned with the Mystics, with some of the records you guys made, you weren't that big with like the big like orchestral violin stuff, or the heavily produced records you guys did. Would you guys rather have done like the Vidal style, where it's like very just pure harmony?
Well, yeah. It was all pure harmony.
Mm-hmm.
That was our thing, because that's what we loved to do. It depended on the song, though, the kind of song it was. And they all came out pretty good. Yeah. Star-Crossed Lovers, I like that song. I think the timing that it came out, because it would have been a hit. I liked Star-Crossed Lovers. There was another song out, it was almost the same type of song, and they didn't push it. So that was another one that they shelved for a while. And then later on in the years, I don't know how DJs got them, but they started to play the other songs.
So I guess,
and then we did, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. We were watching The Sopranos, okay? And at the end of one of the episodes, we hear Hushabye. And that was our cut of Over the Rainbow. And Over the Rainbow was done with so many people, so many singles, so many groups at the time, through the years. It's an amazing song. Came out in 1939 in a big movie. And we got in touch with them because they didn't ask our permission to do that, you know. And they finally said, well, they owed us some kind of retribution for that. And we were paid off for that. It was good, but just to think that they did pick our cut of that song was another, wow.
I bet that was just shocking.
Yeah, absolutely. They were all shocking.
Do you remember any other films or TV shows that your songs were used in?
Oh, we did so many of them. I mean, I can't remember half the stuff we did. The tours were great. You know, then we did the New England tour for Alan Freed before he went to California. I think we were the last thing he produced before he left. And we had Frankie Ford on that one. And we got very friendly with Frankie. And he was a powerful singer and entertainer. I mean, I got to know him better through the years, but he was such a great entertainer. He's a guy that didn't even need a microphone. He was so powerful. And during the tour, you know, the driver got tired at night or something. We woke up at night, who's driving? Frankie Ford driving the bus. Whoa, what are you, crazy? But that's a great times on tours.
I hear all these stories about the environment on the tours. Just such a fun, like, electric experience.
Yeah, and Jay Siegel was on that one. Nice, a couple of big other stars, and I just can't remember all the names of the stars we sang with. I get them all mixed up on all the shows, but it's still a great thing when I get together with them. But I don't want to leave Florida anymore. I'm sticking to Florida. I don't want to travel. I don't want to get on any more planes because we're in the airport for hours. I mean, one time we were going, we were there for 12 hours because the flight was canceled, delayed, and you couldn't catch the next one. And it's just too stressful. So I'll stay and I'll do my shows in Florida. And I still have a few to do. And if I'll do as long as I can, and then I'll retire.
Yeah. So I guess another thing is you guys recorded all the way up until like the early '60s.
Yeah.
And then was there any shows between, I guess, like 1963 to 1970 that you guys did?
Yeah, we did a lot of sock hops and a lot of private shows. We did all over Jersey and Pennsylvania, Connecticut, a lot of shows, stock hops where they wanted us to perform, and they just kept getting us more shows and more shows, more shows. We met a lot of DJs and a lot of nice people, but they were big crowds then.
Yeah. And what did you think of, I guess, with the 1970s, with the Gus Gottschalk shows and with like shows like Happy Days and then Grease and American Graffiti? How was that like revival of the 50s and with your guys'
The last show we did, we had Happy Day guy on. He was what's his name? The guy that was a star on Happy Day, and he was the highlight of the shows that we were doing. We had some fun with him. The style was different, but then when I went to Florida, I got out of it for a while, and I was bringing up my family, and in business, I started my own businesses. So I was out of it for a while, but I kept in touch with the guys in New York. They were still doing shows. They had a band now and doing live shows. We didn't do much track shows, and I still don't do track shows. And since 2002, I've been having a live band, you know. And for 8 people now, for these new private locations that we sing at, these their budgets are getting, you know, you got to feed 8 people. I got everybody on salary, so it's stationary for me to do what I have to do. And we did so many shows on these private communities, and through the years, you know, the board members change. And you get younger people on there, and they want to hear different music. They want to hear younger music. So they're pushing Doo-Wop out of the door, you know. And we lost a lot of shows because of that. But the ones that still hire us, they still want to see us, they still want to hear us, we do them. And I'll keep doing them until it ends. Mm-hmm. Like all good things, everything comes to an end, unfortunately. But it was a long ride for me, and it was a glorious ride. And it was just cherished moments which I won't give up, you know. The memories were great. And it's still a good thing for me.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me. And is there anything else you would want to say about your experience with the Mystics?
Well, like I said, it was a great experience. I'm glad I was with them. I'm glad they asked me to join them at the time, and my 2 uncles, we were close. And the whole group was like all brothers. And through the years, we stayed that way. We went to each other's engagement parties, marriages, you know. And it was a close-knitted thing. But that, you know, through the years, people separate, they go their own ways for different reasons, for job opportunities, like Bobby and I went one way, he went the other way, and the other thing, I stayed in New York for a while. But they're all scattered now, so, but that's what happens in today's age. Everybody's on their own, and doing their own thing. I still keep in touch with some of them. I'm speaking to John Coos from Coney Island Baby. He was glad I reached out for him. And I keep in touch with them, and I text them, and they love that. And I like that. So, like I said, it's a nice thing to keep in the music, keep it in your blood, and stay with the people you've met through the years and the people that you've lost. Johnny Maestro was one of the greatest. Voice of an angel. I asked Johnny, I said, Johnny, what is your range? He said, I don't know, whatever they play, I hit. He was amazing. Whatever they played, he had no straining on singing. He could sing in any key. I was in awe with Johnny. And we got close. After he broke up with the Crest, we used to hang out together, used to sing together. We had a lot of fun. But those were just great times, you know. I'll never forget them. But when it comes to remember all these names, and I can't remember everybody's name. When I seen them, I remember them, but then their faces, but the names of all the guys in the groups, and then It's amazing when you get old, things just start to. I'm still good. I'm glad I'm still here. I'm a young 85, and I'm still enjoying the music.
Perfect. Is there anything you want to say to the people who are going to see this?
Yeah, I hope that you enjoy the conversation and what I can bring back to people that remember the things I was talking about and the things that you don't remember. But if you want to know more about us, you can purchase the book. It tells a lot about the Mystics. And you can learn more about what we went through. And hopefully you'll enjoy it. And hopefully we can see you at some of the shows I'm still doing in Florida. If you come down, give me a holler. I'm here.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.